So now I'd like to invite Dr. Om Prakash Bera. So he is a country coordinator, policy and implementation in Global Health Advocacy Incubator. So he has a lot of experiences before, like he worked in tobacco control with the International Union Against TB and Lung Diseases, and now he's leading country uh, in these issues, which are hypertension, trans fat, and related issues. So over to Dr. Om.
Thank you, Dr. Sonu. Good afternoon to all the participants here. So, I will be providing you with a global policy overview and like how globally things have changed and how these policies translate into saving lives, and which is approximately 500,000 globally. And in India, it corresponds to around more than 60,000 deaths due to cardiovascular disease. Next slide, please. So the entire presentation has an outline, and I will be touching upon the 5 important outlines. WHO recommendations on trans fat acid consumption, replace, the roadmap for TFA elimination, population-based approaches, global successes, and the way forward. Next. So let's go back let's go back by a decade. In the year 2010, there was an assessment of the global trans fat intake among adults, that is like more than 20 years. So there was a systemic analysis of 266 country-specific nutrition surveys, and which was published in BMJ. The major findings were WHO recommended the TFA intake to be less than 1% of the total energy intake, which is approximately 2.2 grams per day in a 2000 calorie diet. So in this heat map, global heat map, we can see across the countries, and there are like each country corresponds to a different color, and all the colors are like quantitatively coded. So the average consumption globally was estimated to be around 1.4%, which is higher than the WHO recommended part. And the consumption ranged from 0.2% to 6.5%, which is definitely on a higher side. And it corresponds to around 1.13 gram to 4.3 grams per day against the recommended 2.2 gram per day. Next. In India, the population level estimates are nearly 1 to 1.24% per day. The partially hydrogenated oils in India, according to some surveys, have reported to contain around 3 to 30% of trans fat acids, which exceeds the recommended limit of 2% by WHO. And Government of India in 2017 had a regulatory mechanism of limiting trans fat to 5% per 100 gram of fats and oils in the country, which is also exceeding. In some of the surveys that were done in the street foods in India, in Delhi, Haryana, which was also mentioned by my colleague Dr. Poonam, it was found that around 20, some were reporting around more than 50% of the TFA content. In addition to this, there were also important facts coming in that bakery items contain high level of trans fat due to usage of important fats like margarines, shortenings, which usually contain high level of trans fatty acids. Next slide, please. So why we are saying about trans fat elimination? And trans fat elimination actually echoes with decreasing the morbidity and mortality of cardiovascular disease. And in one of the report of WHO, Tackling NCDs, Best Buys for Preventing NCDs, it was estimated that around 7% of cardiovascular disease can be prevented by a simple policy measure of eliminating trans fat or limiting trans fat. Next slide, please. Which are the global models across for eliminating artificial trans fat? So mandatory national limits are the most effective way to reduce trans fat in the food supply. Across the globe, since 2003, when Denmark started with limiting trans fat till today, there has been two primary models. So the first model is defining upper limits to no more than 2 grams per 100 grams of total fats and oils in all foods, including domestic and imported products. So this is the model which was floated in 2003 by Denmark. Or reclassify partially hydrogenated oils as an unsafe food additive or a contaminant or other adulterating substance in food, a food banning industry. So this model is adopted by United States and Canada. So these are the two most effective models across the globe. I will also touch on some midway models which are floated by some of the countries. Next slide, please. So as we mentioned in the previous slide, TFA limit versus PHO ban. So there are some pros and cons, and in which setting this policy works well. So trans fatty acid limit, the pros important are like if there is a limit, then definitely the TFA content will be tested regularly. It will be tested regularly by the regulatory agencies, in mostly by FDA, and in India by FSSAI and FDA. If there is a PHO ban, so it always targets the top of the food supply chain. So if there is a ban, there is like there will be limited regulatory exercises, time and again. But at the same time, it's a very simple thing. Bring out a ban, like put a ban on trans fatty acids at the one go. So some of the cons that TFA limit brings in is like there has to be a continuous monitoring process which needs man, money, and machine. And like in PHO ban, there are some cons, like we cannot test PHO because definitely PHO has been banned and like no more it is in the food supply chain. And it will be difficult to, and sometimes it is very difficult to enforce. Like in India, for example, we have multiple bans, but then also things are available. So which policy works well where? A TFA limit works well when there are multiple producers and there's a huge informal market, making it very difficult to regulate the top of the food supply chain, which is exactly the case with India, Southeast Asia, or the low middle income countries. The PHO ban works well when we can identify few producers who can be made accountable at the first go, and where imported packaged goods are not a major source of TFA. Next slide, please. So in response to all the experiences that came up since 2003 and much before 2003 also, WHO defined the Replace Action Package in 2018. WHO launched this Replace Action Package, and they vowed to eliminate industrially produced trans fatty acids from the global food supply chain by 2023. And this calls for replacement of trans fatty acid with healthier oils and fats to be achieved through policy and regulation, while establishing monitoring systems and creating awareness among policymakers, industry, and public. There are 6 focus areas in this Replace Policy Action Package, which focuses on promotion and use of healthier fats and oils. Second is elimination of industrially produced trans fatty acids through regulatory actions. Third is establishing solid monitoring systems. And the fourth is creating awareness among policymakers, producers, suppliers, and the public. Next slide, please. So replace is acronym for review, promote, legislate, access, create, and enforce. Reviewing dietary sources of industrially produced trans fat and the landscape for required policy changes. Promoting replacement of industrially produced trans fat with healthier fats and oils. Legislate or enact regulatory actions to eliminate industrially produced trans fat. Assess and monitor trans fat content in the food supply and changes in trans fat consumption in the population. Create awareness of the negative health impact of trans fat among policymakers, producers, suppliers, and public. Enforce compliance with policies and regulations. Next slide, please. So there are 6 replace modules. The first module speaks out of review, how to guide the landscape assessment and roadmap development for elimination of trans fat. The second module speaks about promote, how to guide the best replacement oils and how the consumers can pick the best oils in the market. The third module speaks about legislation and regulation. Definitely, if there is a rule, then there has to be some regulations. So the module speaks about this. The fourth module is on assess, how to guide for trans fat surveillance and monitoring. The fifth module is to create, how to guide for trans fat awareness among population. The sixth module speaks of enforcement. If there is a legislation, there has to be enforcement. So how to guide trans fat policies and enforcement of regulations. Next slide. So from our experiences, these are some of the key steps to form a country roadmap, which include dietary sources of TFA, collecting information related to this. The second is to read the policy environment, record existing nutrition or food safety policies, describe your current status of TFA legislation. The third important point is stakeholder landscape. We need to know who the stakeholders are and how they can be connected. The fourth is costs and availability of oils and fats. We need to find out what are the shelves of supermarkets in the formal as well as the informal markets, how the products are there, whether they are labeled, whether they are non-labeled. If they are labeled, whether there is a trans fat content mention or not. If the trans fat content mention is there, whether it is more than 5%, less than 5%. And the last step is to define the goals and objectives. All the participants right now on all the platforms, I would request you to take up some research in relation to some of these issues. And as on date, India lacks on substantive research on trans fatty acids. So I would like to appeal to all the participants to take up research related to some of the measures, some of the regulations, sources, awareness of trans fatty acid. If the population know about the trans fatty acids regulations and the health harms, then only we will be successful in moving this big campaign. Next slide, please. So globally, the first national policy to eliminate industrially produced trans fatty acids was in 2003 and in Denmark. So a mandatory trans fatty acid limit are currently in effect for more than 2.4 billion people in 28 countries. So 12 have best practice policies covering 540 million people, that is equivalent to around 7% of the global population. 24 have enacted mandatory trans fatty acid limits to come into effect in the next 2 years. 26 countries have complementary measures in place. 49 countries have a national policy, strategy, and action plan that expresses a commitment to reduce trans fatty acids in the food supply. 3 regional regulations by the Eurasian Economic Union, the Gulf Cooperation Council, and the European Union, including trans fatty acid limit, which have the potential to reach 41 countries and protect more than 700 million people. Next slide, please. So if we see the trans fatty acids implementation globally, so these are the country-wide the legislation policies, the implementation, and everything is like self-explanatory. So in perspective to India, so India has a legislative measure that has been adopted to limit the industrially produced TFA in foods in all settings, but are less restrictive than the recommended approach. The recommended approach is 2%. India is having a 5% rule as of now. So if we see the global success in artificial trans fat elimination, since 2003, when it was only one country, Denmark, till 2019, when it is now 30 countries have already eliminated trans fat either by limiting or by a PHO ban. Next slide, please. So I have tried to get some of the important countries who had actually eliminated TFA in a way or the other. So Denmark, which is the ideal country, which is a trailblazer of which we call as a trailblazer country who have eliminated TFA, they have limited the 2% limit in fats, oils, and foods. So India right now has a 5% regulation in fats and oils only, and not on foods. So the process for developing policy was, first of all, it was confirmed that trans fatty acids were there in the food supply, and that began, the monitoring began as early as 1993. It was identified which products contain the highest TFA. Then it was identified the which subpopulation consumed large amount of TFA. Then there was then working with the industry to overcome its pushback and find good replacements, and setting up testing capacity and enforcement powers at all levels of supply chain. How does it impact? As of now, the data says more than 700 lives are saved every year due to elimination of trans fats. Next slide, please. Argentina, it's a mix. This will give you a glimpse of how policies can be handled, like both in a pro manner and a con manner. So it's a 2% limits on fats and oils for direct consumption and 5% in foods. So the model was based on Pan American Health Organization PAHO Regional Strategy 2008 and Canada's voluntary policy. The 2% limit for fats and oils has been officially interpreted as applying only to foods for direct consumption. So this interpretation excludes raw materials that are sold to bakeries, raw materials that are sold to mithaiwalas. Hence, some baked goods, street foods, and other unpackaged foods continue to have high TFA levels. So this is one of the con, and but definitely we every time cannot get ideal results. This type of regulation, according to a WHO bulletin study published in 2015, it says this policy helped to avert 300 to more than 1,500 cardiac deaths annually. And so that's like helpful for us also. Next. In Slovenia, there was a limit in 2% in all foods, including raw materials, not directly sold to consumers. So that's a bit different from Argentina. So here the raw materials were also covered. And this, we do not have quantitative figures exactly this policy, where it, like how it corresponds to averting the cardiac deaths, but definitely the market data, market research shows it helps. Next slide, please. South Africa, they had a complete ban, 2% limit in fats and oils in 2011. It was an interesting in South Africa in 2011, the Ministry of Health, they issued a draft regulation on TFA labeling. So the process started with trans fatty acid labeling, but they enacted a trans fatty acid limit instead. So it was very helpful to all the public health groups, and it was a lesson learned that during policy making, this type of things can also happen by effective advocacy and sensitization of our policymakers. Next slide, please. European Union, which is a consortium of many countries. So there is a 2% limit in all food, and which will go into effect in 2021. In 2019, they took a decision. They provided 2 years period for all the manufacturers of oils and all the food industry manufacturers to comply to it. And from 2021, there will be 2% limit in all foods, which is 1 year before the WHO's call to action. Next slide. So if we go from region to region globally, in North America in 2018, Canada and US implemented complete ban. So, which is the complete ban on partially hydrogenated oil, which is the main source of industrially produced trans fat. In Africa, it was discussed, Africa has the best practice mandatory limits on industrially produced trans fat in foods, fats, and oils since 2011. Asia, India implemented a mandatory limit of 5% trans fat content in fats and oils only. Singapore had a mandatory limit of 2% trans fat content in fats and oils only. India, Singapore, Philippines, and Republic of Korea require to an extent a labeling of trans fat on the packaged food. In India, for your information, some of the manufacturers are providing trans fat information on their labels, and but in informal sector, in some of the other manufacturers do not label it exactly. Either they label it like less than 5%, less than 7%, less than 3%, but not exactly. Thailand recently placed a ban on the partially hydrogenated oils. Next slide, please. Middle East, Iran has set a mandatory limit of 2% in cooking oils and 5% in other foods. Saudi Arabia has a maximum content of 2% in oils and margarines. Other countries like Bahrain, Israel, Jordan, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and UAE require labeling of trans fat on packaged foods. In Central and South America, like Argentina, Chile, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, and Uruguay, they have set limits for industrially produced trans fat for 2%. And recently, Brazil passed regulation that will limit industrially produced trans fat in all products by 2021. That means fats, oils, and foods. Europe, Austria, Denmark, Hungary, Iceland, Latvia, Norway, Slovenia have set the best examples that we have discussed. Switzerland and Uzbekistan has a 2% limit in fats and oils only. And in 2018, a technical regulation entered into force in Armenia, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, and Russian Federation to limit 2% of the total fat content in fats and oils. Next slide, please. So the recent stories, success stories of 2019-20, each year multiple countries are coming in with new type of regulations, either a limit, either a ban. So Turkey recently announced regulation limiting, the exact date is December 26, 2019, and they limited industrially produced trans fat allowed, trans fatty acids allowed in foods. So it will be no more than 2 grams of trans fats in per 100 grams of fat. In Brazil, the country approved regulation that will cap trans fat at 2% of the total fat in refined vegetable oils and foods. I will also mention one country, Philippines. Recently, around 1 week back, they filed two drafts, draft number 7020 and draft number 7022, to eliminate trans fatty acids. And I would like to thank one of our viewers from Philippines who mentioned about this fact 1 day back. Next slide, please. So the global challenges, opportunities, and priorities. So challenges are many in this in the implementation of trans fatty acids. Important is the assessment. As of now, apart from some lone standing studies which says like this many content in jalebi or like pakoda or some bakery items, we do not know the burden due to TFA. We do not know like what's the burden of exact burden of morbidity and mortality due to TFA or TFA content and levels in foods. Although like we know some of the facts, but we do not know comprehensively. The regulatory capacity, we need to develop brief policy measures for TFA elimination, which can be implemented and can be sustained. Because if we are trying to eliminate TFA, then we need to enforce it and regulate it and monitor it for a very longer period. Enforcement, so like limited human and financial resources in formal food sectors are definitely a enforcement challenge. Healthier replacements, availability, cost, limited resources and capacities to reformulate. So that's an important part. Although we have found it in some of our exercises that it adds on a marginal cost to the manufacturers, but then also sensitization to the manufacturers, sensitization to the suppliers, creating a conducive environment for the suppliers and manufacturers to support this campaign is important. Healthier replacements and in industries also we need to disseminate technical information related to reformulations. There are some perceived bias at the small and medium enterprises level, and there is always a enforcement handicapness that we face. Next slide, please. So way forward, exclusively Indian context, we need to strengthen the assessment of accurately testing TFA levels in products. We need to have labs, appropriate standards for labs, capacity on assessment, quality assurance for accurate testing. We need to design and implement an appropriate inspection strategy to assess compliance. Each state in India behaves in a different way. So each state has a different way of regulating TFA and having an inspection. So if there is a standardization or there is a mechanism to report how many samples were tested, how many samples were were exceeding this current regulation, although that is a bit confidential to the FDA, but then also it will be helpful for a bigger dialogue and bigger discussion. And setting up information systems and tracking indicators for compliance and non-compliance, sector-wise, region-wise. So in India, sector-wise, big industries, small industries, and medium industries, as well as there is a formal sector, there's an informal sector. So all these things have to be taken in mind when we need to develop a comprehensive model. Next slide, please. So that's it from my side. I can be reached at obera@advocacyincubator.org for all the queries. And thank you for the opportunity, PGI team, and thank you SMHSP